How's everybody doing? It's me, Kenny, again from DFS Experts. We are getting to where we're going to do this. We're doing this on a regular basis, so I'm glad to see y'all, and I hope y'all are glad to see me. I also hope y'all followed the video yesterday. A lot of good info there. Cleveland didn't do so hot, and Boston didn't get going until the end, but Tampa Bay, I was all over. I had a lot of Ramos, had a lot of Crone, had a lot of Robertson, and a little bit of Duffy. And some Carlos Gomez as well. I was really pleased with that. And then also, I had some Will Myers, and he got to Kershaw at the end. And overall, good night. Cashed on both sites. Everything was good. The only thing I kind of kicked myself in the ass about was that I had ended up switching out Chase Anderson or Rodriguez for Chase Anderson in a few of my lineups where I would have just gone straight Rodriguez. Rodriguez was I'll pat myself on the back there. That was a good call. He was definitely the play over Kershaw. Uh, but everything worked out well. I just wish I would have got a little bit more from Betts, Martinez, Pierce. All those guys did well. Um, there was enough of a late night hammer. I actually lost some satellites, but it is what it is. Um, it's a it was a good night last night, and I'm hoping today's going to be even better. We got a full 15 game slate. We'll do like we usually do, cover everything in a brief amount of time. I'll just kind of go over the pitching, go over a couple good plays, and let that be that. I will go ahead and warn you. It's a little bit of a somber day for me today, and I'll get into that more towards the end, but definitely not in the best of spirits, man. But I'll address that. Um, DFSXperts.com. Go get your spreadsheets there. We we're doing MLB. Even though we got the All Star break coming up, but we're going strong into there. We've lowered the prices. PGA and NASCAR still going strong. British Opens next week, so make sure you get that spreadsheet. You're gonna need that info. I want one of us to take down $1 million. Joey Lazuski, man, he's been doing a great job in there. Got the John Deere Classic coming up. You're gonna have it's gonna be a mixed up kind of field. It's not gonna be super strong, but sometimes it's just like with a baseball slate or any of those slates. It's when it seems like it's harder to figure out that really you can do some damage and find some low owned players and low owned golfers in this case, and you can we can really do some good things. And but yeah, check us out, dfsexperts.com. Get the spreadsheet, go to Facebook, get in the chat, and come join us, man. We're doing really well, and I want y'all to see what this is all about. So let's just get into the slate, man. It's a 15 game slate. Like I mentioned, it's the pitching isn't. We had last week we had a slate where the pitching was just top notch, top to bottom. You had I believe 6 or 7 people. I think that was the one where who was Carrasco was starting. You had I'm trying to think of who else. It was a stacked slate. This is not one of those slates. Verlander and Bauer are your top guys. I prefer Verlander over Bauer, not just because with the Vegas, as far as he's projected to allow a half run less than Bauer as of now, but pitching at home, he should be able to handle Oakland, pretty easily. I would, and that's not saying Bauer's a bad play. But you do have some bats there like Votto and Scooter and Barnhart. Same thing we talked about yesterday with Cincinnati. And Cleveland actually, they disappointed. But I think today will be a little bit better against Sal Romano on the bat side of things. But Verlander's the route to go. McCullers for St. Louis. That's another. That's somebody else that I'll be looking at. Garrett Richards for the Angels. You might want to give him a look. I also like that game period for pitching for Richards and Mike Leake. If you're playing DraftKings, a Verlander Leak combo is probably going to be really popular, I would imagine, because it's going to give you enough room to fit in some bats. You also have Coors in play today, and this is another one. This is one of those games where you have a good pitcher in Coors, so I think that's going to that's going to temper a little bit of the run total. Patrick Corbin against Colorado, and he's going to have to dodge Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, all those good, all the quality Colorado bats, minus Blackman and Gonzalez, and I mean he'll still have to dodge them, but you get the big power bats against the lefty. That's usually trouble, but Corbin's been pitching pretty well. He's lost some velocity. It's had me worried. It keeps me from. I wouldn't necessarily roster him this game, but I wouldn't necessarily put the most emphasis on Coors either. For those of y'all that follow Vegas, Boston and the Yankees in their games, they have more of a. Boston's projected to score over 6 runs against Andrew Cashner. So let me make sure I'm not. Oh no, it's New York against Cashner, but against Yovani Gallardo, Texas or Boston's supposed to light them up. They're supposed to do the same thing yesterday, but I think they're in a little better spot. Gallardo's a worse pitcher than Minor. You're going to look more. I mean, you can play some JD and Mookie if you want to, but I'm going to look more towards the a little bit cheaper. Benintendi isn't quite. That's not necessarily the cheaper route, but Moreland, Rafael Devers, Brock Holt, Sandy Leone. I'll have some exposure there, and again, I will be playing some Tampa Bay. Against another weak lefty in Matthew Boyd. Yesterday against Liriano, Ramos did his thing. Wendell even pinch hit and hit well, but it's the same people that I mentioned yesterday. I'm going to mention them again today. It's Ramos, it's Crone, it's Robertson, it's Duffy, and Carlos Gomez. So any of those guys, and I'd seen that Gomez they were talking about possibly letting him go or just phasing him out, but he's showing that he's still even his age and even bouncing around so much, he can still get you some he can still get you some hits, still get you some stolen bases. It's that's somewhere I'll probably end up going, at least in 1 or 2 lineups, just to be assured that I'm gonna get some points. All those guys, going to give you some positive points. I've already mentioned the Boston, the Yankees against Cashner. You're going to be looking at let me make sure. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was telling you the right pitcher this time, but against Cashner, you're looking at Aaron Hicks. Really any hitter, any Yankee hitter you can think of, you're going to be looking towards, which is like Didi. I'll probably have him. I'll probably play him a little more today. A decent DraftKings price. FanDuel, he's 4,000, but it's to be expected. Hicks, I'd throw Brett Gardner in there, and also Joey Judge. I always have a tough time with those two, Joey Judge and Stanton. And what I usually do is just if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to just go with Judge. Judge seems to get on base more, doesn't strike out as often, can do a little bit more, so I'll have him. I'll have him over Stanton, and if you have a Yankee stack going on, have him and some DD and some Hicks and some him, DD, Hicks, and some Brett Gardner. Let's see here. Let me think of a couple other things I need to mention. We talked about Pittsburgh yesterday. I think the same Pittsburgh players are in play. Colin Moran, Corey Dickerson. You can throw Meadows in there if he starts. But, Moran and Dickerson. I'll have to check Dickerson's price, but I imagine he's at $2,600. I prefer Moran as a value third baseman. Not a lot of value Not a ton of value at third base today. Really not a lot of value guys, anywhere. I mean, I'll mention Logan Morrison from Minnesota. Minnesota's got a good. That's a good matchup for them. They're projected to score over 5 runs as well. So have you some Grossman? Have you some some Joe Mauer? Some see, let me give me a little Mountain Dew in here. Some Escobar Polanco. Yes. Have some of those guys in your line, lefty on righty sort of deal. Some Atlanta's. Let me make sure that I'm seeing this right. Now I like Julio Teheran. What does scare me with him is that those Toronto hitters do have a good history against him. So like Granderson and Smoke and all those guys, Morales. So he's gonna have to dodge some bullets there. But if you're looking for somebody in the middle, I would look at him. And also Enyel De Los Santos is making his debut. I'm pretty sure he'll be popular because he was mowing down people in AAA. He was actually supposed to start the All-Star game in AAA, but got called up. Playing the Mets. I doubt he's going to be on like a real hard pitch count. But these guys making their debut can go one way or the other. On DraftKings, he's priced at 7,500, so I don't know if he's worth the risk as much. But on FanDuel, minimum price for a pitcher 5,500. You could pick him. He could go 5-6 innings, and as long as he doesn't shit the bed completely, you're going to be in a good spot where you can get any hitters you want. Boston, all the Boston, all the cores you want. Matt Carpenter. While I'm thinking about, that's another game where St. Louis is projected to score over 5 runs. Matt Carpenter is my favorite third baseman, and he's only 3,200 on FanDuel. I do like him more than I like Ramirez and Bregman. So you can get a discount there. Colton Wong is also somebody that I like for St. Louis while I'm talking about them, and he is only 2,700 on FanDuel. He's come up a little bit, but he's been hitting well. Value people. JT Riddle from Miami has been on. He's 2,600 on FanDuel, and I believe he's like 3,000 on 3,500 on DraftKings, but still, you're getting somebody that's getting over 10 fantasy, or has been getting 10 fantasy points the last 3-4 games. He's definitely worth a look. One of my favorite third basemen, and if you get the spreadsheet and you've been getting it for a while, Luis Valbuena against Mike Leake. Valbuena's been ice cold, but he's one of those one of those hitters that out of nowhere he'll hit you 2 home runs. He's a good guy if you're playing multiple lineups to throw in one just in case. Just somebody I really like. On the outfield side, I mentioned Carlos Gomez. I did mention Rex Grossman. Someone else I'll mention is Billy Hamilton going against Trevor Bauer. I would do this more as a one-off sort of situation. I hate the fact that he's been batting ninth. I hope that they would move him up at some point, but I know they're trying to pair him with Peraza, that whole deal. But he's one of those guys that can get on base and get you 2 or 3 stolen bases in a game, and that adds up. 10 to 15 points on DraftKings, 12 to 18 on FanDuel. The hit along with it that comes with it hopefully scores you a run or two. Just somebody good to have if you're looking for it. He's got a low floor and he has a high ceiling. So if you're looking for somebody in that in the under 3,000 range on FanDuel, or 3,000 and under, I would give him a look. Let me see if there's anything else that I need to cover. I'm gonna get a little bit more Mountain Dew in me. Oh, Wilmer Flores has been hot. Chris Davis for Baltimore. Give him a look tonight if you're doing a Baltimore. If you got exposure to some Baltimore players, or if you're just looking for a cheap one-off first baseman. Goodrum for Detroit's been playing pretty well. The whole late night hammer situation, I think that'll be more of a picking pitchers and picking than necessarily picking hitters. I do like Schwarber tonight for some reason. It just popped out to me, so I'd give some of those lefty bats some consideration to Schwarber, maybe Zobrist, Hayward, that sort of deal. And let me think if there's anything else I am forgetting. Yeah, basically, Coors I'm not going to give as much, precedent to, just because the prices are so high and Corbin's a decent pitcher. So I'm not going to have a whole bunch of Coors in there. Boston and the Yankees both are projected to score more runs than either of the teams in that game, and I don't think Colorado's going to get to Corbin a whole lot. And then, like I said, Cleveland, Minnesota, and then Tampa Bay again from yesterday, facing the lefty, have some exposure there. Crone, Ramos, Robertson, and then Carlos Gomez. And Duffy. Sorry. But yeah, just there's a lot of routes for you to go there. So and we'll talk about it more in our chat room, and everybody getting the spreadsheet and stuff. But that's about it. Verlander over Bauer. Julio and De Los Santos and Leak are three of my favorite value pitchers. Think about this with Leak. He's 8,200 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings. So Leak, I wouldn't play him as much on FanDuel, but on DraftKings it's a good pair for if you play a stud pitcher, or even if you go value pitching like with Richards, or in that case probably not go Richards since you're be playing with Leak. But if you went like Rich Hill or something, Rich Hill and Leak, then you could do whatever you want to do with bats. And Goldschmidt, I do like the Arizona side in the Coors game way more than I like the Colorado side. So the only thing there is you're going to have to pay for the bats. Way more on FanDuel. Like Ahmed is 3,800 on FanDuel, and he is third. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, Nick Ahmed is 4,300 on DraftKings. So I mean, you're not getting. He's not that much more expensive than he is on FanDuel. So if you're going the Arizona route, go him, and then Pollock. He should get heating up soon. He can do anything you want as far as stolen bases, home runs. He's got everything. So that is it, y'all. And usually I end these with just giving you a little thing about how doing your lineups and just having an overall right frame of mind. We'll do a little something different today. Last year I had worked somewhere for a long time. It was a real toxic environment, and I ended up going to another job. And it was a job where I was working second shift. It made this whole thing kind of hard to do. So I was going through a transition there. Still doing it, but just a lot of stuff going on. One of the big things was I wasn't able to see my wife. And there was I got a call about a month after I'd started, and my wife she'd gone to the doctor. She was getting some things checked out, and her test had come back, and she had endometrial cancer. And she called me at work, and I was in a daze. And the first person that I talked to was a girl named Lauren McGlynn, and she was a waitress where I worked. She was so sweet to me. I was in a state of shock. I was just talking to her about, hey, this is, she just called me. I'm already missing her. All this stuff. Just the thing. We just had a lot of a nice long, and she just listened, and she'd been through stuff herself, and we talked. I got through that day. I ended up actually coming back or having to leave there to get closer to my wife, and then I ended up having to go back there because some things happened. And the same girl always would ask me about how's your wife doing, and all this and all that. I would talk to her about this and this and that and everything. She was a very, very, very nice person, and I found out in, I believe it was February, that that Lauren had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and that was terrible. And something that I'm kicking myself now about is it's a really odd situation there, especially you don't know what to say to somebody, you don't know if they want to be bothered, all that. Well, she passed last night, and while it was somebody that wasn't in my life for a long period of time, and I mean, it was just a small portion. It was, about a year's worth of time. But in the time that when I would go to work and just be down about this and that, it wasn't even just always with my wife. I mean, she was always there to listen to me, and she was such a strong person. And what I'm trying to say is that I know sometimes with DFS and stuff, and even just life, it can really seem like it's too much, and you can be complaining about this and that and the third. It's really not. It's really not shit. It really isn't. There's a lot more important stuff going on out there, and and probably what I can tell you is that for me, things like this always make me, tell the people that I love them, a lot more. And I suggest you do the same thing. I think that's a pretty broad message that you can't go wrong with. Tell the people you love them. If you have issues with people that you think can be that can be fixed, that you can talk to them about it, because you never know when, you never know what will happen. But I just wanted to, because Lauren was she was in my thoughts, and I just wanted to, my thoughts and prayers are with her family, and y'all too. By the way, if you ever feel the need, to donate to, the V Foundation, or any sort of thing to combat cancer, man. This cancer has affected all of our lives, and that's something that we need to eradicate. I wish we could. I know it's not something we can do overnight, but it's affected us all, and it's affected me in not just this case, but many others. And there's not really a way to end this in a good way, but like I said, I want to say rest in peace to Lauren, and I hope you all, give the ones you love a little bit tighter of a hug and a kiss tonight, and make a phone call to somebody if you haven't talked to them in a while, and tell them you love them. And that's not the way I usually end DFS stuff, but that's the way we're going to do it today. Good luck to everybody with not just your DFS, but with your life. Y'all have a good one, and I will see you tomorrow.